The markets have taken a little bit of a turn up. Things look like it's potentially good for maybe a little bit of a long. Let's dive into the news. It is the 6th of March. So first thing is Trump to unveil the Bitcoin reserve strategy at White House Crypto Summit, which is coming up in tomorrow. That is the first good bit of news. Who is expected to launch? Well, this is what we have thus far. Michael Saylor, of course, founder of Strategy, previously MicroStrategy, and a few others here. Kyle Smarling, managing partner on Multicoin Capital. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, and Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple. Ripple have tried to push their agenda with XRP being included, which is not really what we're after. You can see Anatoly Yakovenko is unconfirmed, same as Vitalik. So we'll have to see how this all goes. Now, this is not a buy signal for me, but I'm just pointing out that this is what's happening, and other people will see it as a bit of a buy signal. And so you can, keep in mind if you want to. World Liberty Fi, Trump just bought 10 million worth of Bitcoin and 10 million of ETH, and also some Move. They just went and bought some of these tokens, which means things have kind of pushed up. He knows something big. No, someone else is buying these tokens, but nevertheless, the speculation, like the amount of engagement that this gets, means that the price will be, something that you could potentially long with stop losses, etc., etc. Also, the whale who longed 200 million in crypto before Trump's crypto reserve announcement just changed his name to March 7th. So this is, certainly potentially an insider. So we can definitely track this account, and we'll have the account below so you can track it. They're longing things on Hyper. Justin, Canada says it won't end tariffs unless all US tariffs are lifted. That's not going to happen. So there's going to be a bit of a trade war. I don't think it's going to really matter too much in the end, but it will have some volatility for maybe the next few months. That's just like speculation. Who really knows at the end of the day? The point is, it's a bearish thing on the markets for short-term gain, but it's a bullish thing for long-term economies. Mt. Gox has moved over 1 billion in Bitcoin to a new wallet, possibly for creditor repayments. We'll have to wait and see on that. If that comes to the market, then some will sell, but some will also hold, and it's a bullish thing to have these funds actually come out of the market. Now, Pingu, Cadence says that things you see at the end of a cycle, I'm not sure why he says that, because this happens a few times, and referring to negative funding rates on Binance that mark the major lows of the cycle. And yes, you can see them at the actual low of the cycle or the end of a cycle. But you can see in general, just when there's a low, like looking at the price of Bitcoin, kind of comes up, there's a whole lot of people that are longing it. And so the longs have to pay the shorts. But then when the price goes down, you have more shorters that are shorting it, and they have to pay a funding rate to the longs. Typically, this is how like Athena works. You can short an asset that you hold the entire time, and throughout a bull market, you will generally make money off that funding rate. And sometimes it can be like 100% plus per year. It's pretty decent. Right now, we've had a couple of small, maybe days where we've had negative funding rates. So this typically can mean that we have a low. Now, it can still go on, as you can see, but we are at a low, not a cycle end. The market state visualization, whole lot of green, which is good to see, but it's also maybe a bit of a fake out. We still need the S&P 500 to start moving. Fair and Greed Index is at 25. And the Solana calendar, well, we've got a couple of things on. We'll touch on SIMD-0228. There's the Solana Accelerator. We'll touch on this as well. The Jupiter vote, it says it started yesterday. It didn't. We'll cover that again in a moment. Just as a general reminder, though, when it comes to staking your SOL, whatever happens with SIMD-0228, just stake your SOL. That's the most important thing. Otherwise, you are losing to inflation. And it's decent inflation that you're losing to. We don't want you to lose to inflation. Franklin Templeton says Solana DeFi is undervalued despite strong growth. Due to Radium, Jupiter, Orca, and Community saw rising adoption, but they trade at lower valuations. One thing here, though, it's kind of obvious to me, is previous cycle, the tokens that are already out, Uni, Aave, whatnot, they have most of their token supply already out. So this is very, very important because price discovery can happen. Here, Radium is, yes, but the Solana tokens, they don't really have the OG kind of ETH whale money just propping up the prices, holding them, bidding on the future of finance. We can do another video on that if you like. In general, though, there's most of these tokens. I love Jito, right? I love Camino. I love Jupiter. And Radium's pretty good. And Orca, I don't really like. I'd use it, but I don't really see the value of the token. At the end of the day, you need to buy a token that you think it will go up. And Camino is the best DeFi product on Solana. But there's no real reason right now with the current demand or lack of demand on actually buying Camino to buy it. Jito is another like long-term plan, right? But it's not a short-term thing. The only token here with kind of actual constant buy pressure is Jupiter. So there's a lot more stuff that you have to take into account than just Solana versus Ethereum DeFi. There's so many variables and they haven't gone over those variables. Accelerate 2025. I'm unsure if I'm going to get to this, but if I can, I would certainly love to go there and make a whole lot of content. This is happening in New York City in May. Tickets here. Biggest US crypto event of the year. 3,000 plus attendees. And it's more about shipping. Ship or die. Ticket price, $400. It's in the US. People in the US have long said we need something in the US. You've now got something. It's in New York, Pier 36, New York City, from May 22nd to 23rd. So get amongst it. Anatoly says this regarding SIMD. He says this regarding the reserve status. So my reserve order of preference, no reserve, because if you want decentralization to fail, you'd put the government in charge of it, or states run their own reserve as a hedge against the Fed making a mistake. Or if there has to be a reserve, it's based on objectively measurable requirements. I don't care what they are. They can even be constructed such that only Bitcoin satisfies them right now. The point is right now, it's just like a pitch. XRP is pitching, and this suggests that Ripple pitched Sol as part of National Reserve in order to make the inclusion of XRP in a reserve seem more legitimate. XRP is a horrendous token. It is properly a horrendous token. The only value that it has is that your normie friends will be onboarded to crypto via a centralized exchange without anything further, and they'll think it'll go to $1,000. So if you can take them and convince them that, well, you can hold a little bag because there are other people like you, like majority of people are like you, great. Otherwise, what you want to do is you just want to get them to buy some Sol, stake some Sol, play on DeFi, learn some stuff, do some airdrop farming, whatever. Jupiter has put the vote in the oven. They're still cooking this. There'll be 3 options now. I said it'll be out yesterday because that was the information we have. It's a dynamic arrangement, the Jupiverse. And so I'll cover that with a video ASAP as soon as the thing is released. And I don't know when it's going to be released. Probably will be today or tomorrow. Camino has some Sol multiply positions are immune to LST price depegs due to their own oracle. I'm not sure if this has always been the case or if this is a new thing, but this is a good thing. This means that you can go to Camino, which we can just show you quickly, very, very quickly, and you can leverage up your LSTs, which I don't like to do, but you can. The one thing to keep in mind is when there's a strong demand on Sol, which isn't happening right now, then this supply APY will go up and you will not actually be making money, you'll be losing money. So I don't like to do it. JLP, I like to do it for sure. USDC, USDT, PYUSD, leverage that up. Fine, maybe 2.5, not financial advice. All of these LSTs, they're like clever systems for sure. But once Sol demand goes higher, this will fall. Now let's talk about SIMD-0228. There's so much division in terms of the viewpoint here. The one thing that I'm going to mention is Multicoin Capital put out this proposal, not like core contributors or anything like that. That's my understanding. So Kyle Samani, who, big Solana bull, and I actually don't think it's a worthwhile decision because I think the validator gets to vote, and I'm hoping it doesn't go ahead because what I see will happen is we'll have a quick look at this thread. It's very, very important. It's probably the most important thing. It could pump the price of Sol, but it hasn't been hashed out. And there's been different Twitter spaces that I've attended to, and people just there's no proper argument that I've seen. I haven't gone to anything, but I would say that this is a no. It shouldn't pass, and they could rework and come out with something better. To be perfectly honest. So what it is it makes things to have inflation curve, which dictates the inflation rate depending on how much Sol is staked. So right now, if we scroll down, good thread from Solblaze, 63% of the supply of Sol is staked. And then there is this inflation rate, which drops, year after year. And the rewards, if all that stayed there, rewards would drop by 70 to 80%. People would unstake to find better yield sources until the equilibrium value is reached, which is around 42% of Sol staked. Now, what I think could happen is, I've covered Sui, and there'll be many other blockchains that I will cover. Solana is, of course, favorite. Don't worry about that. Like if you go on Sui or on ETH, like the staking rate's like 2%. It's just so low that you're almost like, well, do I really want to stake? Is it really worth staking? And then you don't have that security of the network, because yes, it is, but you really have to put in a whole lot of effort. Ethereum staking is not worth doing it because the liquidity, the unstaking, the complex nature of it is hard. Solana is very easy. Cosmos ecosystem has typically a 21-day unstake period, which is pretty crazy. Solana's 1 epoch, which is typically 2.5 days. But the issue is this also reduces the yield on everything. Like Camino TVL goes down. The LSTs, they don't pump. Delta hedge vaults, they don't do well. It actually stifles DeFi largely, to be perfectly honest. And what could happen is, if it doesn't stifle DeFi, then it goes the other way, and DeFi starts to work out these multiply tricks or things like that, or Camino goes up to like 9%, and then people go and put all their Sol into that, which has a lot more smart contract risks, even though I do trust Camino. Then you actually do have a network that could be attacked. And I just don't think that's a worthwhile thing to do. We've got time to work this out. This is a rush proposal. I still need to speak with the team of validator.com, and people can ping what they think should go. But I don't think this is actually a positive thing for price or the ecosystem. I think staking your Sol is very, very important. And I agree that no is probably the good thing. The other thing is, a lot of validators will not survive, so we'll actually become more centralized. And then we'll have to find a way to fix that problem, which won't be easy. Okay, new sanctum proposal from MetaDAO. MetaDAO, just putting it out there, like follow MetaDAO. I'll keep you updated as fast as I can, as often as I can. New proposal, would use up to 2.5 million cloud to incentivize INF and Sol liquidity via the community finance vaults. Excuse me again. This is extraordinarily important, because if an LST depegs, like it did months ago, I remember seeing Mert, he went ahead and he did a swap from HSOL to Sol. It says, see, look, it's, the Solana blockchain is still working, but this went through. He lost 12%, and then his reply was, I love Mert, he's great, but his reply was, well, that's how LSTs work. No, that is not how it's, yes, it worked. It did find liquidity, but you need to not have depegging of LSTs, which is crazy, right? Jito Sol have changed their way, because if a depeg happens on Jito Sol, it's a major event. The price will come down. It will reach equilibrium, but if someone attacks it at the same time, that like at the start of an epoch, and they can't unstake for 2.5 days, this is a very big deal. So this is a complete no-brainer. It's a complete no-brainer. You can just go ahead, click higher for it to pass, and lower. You need to have staked. You need to have cloud staked in order to do this. Next bit of news: Humor Finance, which is somebody I know is very, very bullish on them. Can't say who, but they were at Jupe Cats and Bull, and I think this would be very, very well worth looking at. March 10, we'll do a tutorial. We'll just get amongst it, okay? Mark your calendar, turn on your notifications. Now let's go over a couple of things regarding Bitcoin and Sol price. So Bitcoin here, we can see on the 2-hour chart from the time it flashed green, which nothing's financial advice sometimes, but just pointing it out, I'm going to do this more and more. From this time, you let one green candle go, cool, and then you go from this point. So like maybe you caught the candle around here, you'll be up 3.84%, which on Bitcoin is kind of a big deal, right? You can take it for 2%, put in a stop loss, whatever you like. With Sol, where we've got typically higher movements, we had one green candle here and then another green candle here. So we would have taken it this kind of price and we'd be up 7%. So there are just some things that you can keep in mind. That would have been a worthwhile trade. You don't have to get greedy in order to make it. That's all for today. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and check out these 2 videos over here. Cheers.